Hi guys, and welcome back to Movies That Matter with the Viking, and I got some movie news and movie updates for you today to talk about and discuss. And one of them is the director of The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson, could end up making his Star Wars trilogy after all. Now, The Last Jedi came out and it received kind of mixed reviews from fans. Critically, it was a success. At the box office, it was a success, but it was a different story with the hardcore fan base of Star Wars. It was very divided because of Rian Johnson's creative decisions. Now, me personally, I liked The Last Jedi to an extent. The only thing I didn't like, there's one thing I wanted going into that film, and of course it was the return of Luke Skywalker. I wanted an epic lightsaber battle between Luke and, I don't know, just random villains taking them down one by one. Just a cool sequence. I would have loved to have seen that. That didn't happen. Now, there was a cool lightsaber fight with Kylo Ren and Rey teaming up, but it was cool. But I wanted to see like Luke Skywalker go at it, you know, especially with today's technology. I've always wanted to see Luke Skywalker just crack some skulls, you know. But the film received mixed reviews, and I thought it was okay, and I liked it. I liked the creative decisions that he made to an extent. I wasn't overwhelmed by the film, but I liked that I got some enjoyment out of it. But this comes from LRM Online. They say that Lucasfilm is behind Rian Johnson and behind his trilogy that could end up happening. Now, of course, The Rise of Skywalker had mixed reviews also. It did well at the box office, but probably not as well as it should have. And J.J. Abrams had to come in with Chris Terrio, and they kind of didn't retcon completely Rian Johnson's vision, but they made some elements and they changed a lot of stuff. And they kind of didn't go ahead with the tone that he laid down in The Last Jedi. And then it became kind of like a fan service film. I liked it, but I'm not a hardcore Star Wars fan. It doesn't take too much to please me going to see a Star Wars film. But I'm sure if you're a diehard fan, you're expecting a little bit more. But of course, we know that there's a new Star Wars trilogy coming, and one of them comes out in 2022, the next one in 2024, and the next one in 2026. So that's a new trilogy that's coming, and there's rumors that it won't involve the original cast from The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. It will be a completely new story, and we know that Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, is going to be directing one in 2024. So when would Rian Johnson's trilogy come out? It would probably come out after the 2026 one. So it looks like they're probably going to go with new kind of trilogies. So The Force Awakens and the J.J. Abrams era was kind of its own thing. That was its new trilogy. The next one will be an even newer one with newer characters, and then eventually we'll get to Rian Johnson's trilogy, but that's a long time away. So is it going to be the 2026 film? But then that wouldn't tie in the trilogy that they're doing now, starting off in 2022. So it looks like we'll have to wait nearly 10 years, 8 years, if they're trying to fit in Rian Johnson's trilogy, because look at the schedule. There's no gaps. There's no kind of area where they can throw a trilogy in if they're going to do one between 2022 and 2026. Now, time flies by quick, and you know, we're in 2020 now, right now, and we're halfway through the year, so we'll nearly be in 2021. So you won't feel a Star Wars film coming. Of course, The Mandalorian is doing well, and the Obi-Wan Kenobi show will be coming. So there's enough Star Wars content to water your mouth. But I am interested to see what Rian Johnson can do with a trilogy. I think if he was allowed to do The Rise of Skywalker, which he was originally talked about doing, then it might have added up and made a bit more sense, and the continuation of the story might have added up a little bit better. I always thought that J.J. Abrams should have did all three because he did the first one, so it would have made more sense if he continued his vision, you know, but then you have too many cooks in the one kitchen, and that's what we kind of got. But Rian Johnson's trilogy is still in the works according to LRM Online, and it could be coming out in the next 6 to 8 years because it looks like there is no gap for that trilogy to come out. Good news if you're a boxing fan. The Mike Tyson biopic could be on its way. Now, of course, for years it's been talked about that a Mike Tyson film is coming, and one of the actors who has been strongly behind it was Jamie Foxx. And this has been talked about for over 10 years, a Mike Tyson biopic. Now, if you're a boxing fan, you know who Mike Tyson is. Even if you're not a boxing fan, you probably know who Mike Tyson is. One of the greatest, legendary, best boxing heavyweight champions of all time. And even recently, he seems to be getting back into shape. He's boxing a lot more, and he's talking about making a comeback in the form of exhibitions. But it looks like the biopic is moving forward, and with Jamie Foxx in the lead role. Now, Jamie Foxx has talked strongly about this character, about this film for so long. He even said that Martin Scorsese was supposed to direct the film, and he was strongly behind it too. But at the moment now, we don't know who's going to direct the Mike Tyson biopic. Martin Scorsese, of course, is busy with other projects. Jamie Foxx really wants to get this film made. And remember, Jamie Foxx is a great actor. He's an Oscar winner. He can sing, he can dance. He's one of those actors that can do absolutely anything. And I think he's very perfect for the Mike Tyson role. I see a lot of people on Twitter saying Michael B. Jordan. For me personally, I think it'll be too much of an overlap from his Creed form of the character he's doing there. It's the same kind of thing. So Jamie Foxx, I even seen interviews of him talking about his idea of the opening sequence to the Mike Tyson film, and it gets me kind of excited. And he's done the voice before in interviews, and he can pull it off. So I'm interested. But Jamie Foxx put a picture online of him. Looked like he's getting ripped, he's getting big, he's getting in shape. Now, it's going to take a lot of work to get into Mike Tyson shape and to reassemble and to revision what Mike Tyson was as an actual boxer. And Mike Tyson is still walking around today, so I'm sure he can study Mike Tyson. He can pick his brain about things, and I think it's all eyed up to be a very interesting film, and maybe even a great film with Jamie Foxx. But it really needs a good director, a great director behind it. If Martin Scorsese was behind it, now that would be pretty cool, going back to the Raging Bull days. But even if it's not him, they need to get someone who is well able to handle this character, this story, and tell it in a very unique way. We've seen boxing movies throughout the years. Every other year there's a boxing movie, but this has the potential to be iconic. Of course, we've seen Will Smith depict Ali, the great Muhammad Ali, in a film which I thought was very good also. So I'm very interested in this Mike Tyson biopic with Jamie Foxx attached to play the actual legend. If you're a DC fan, you'll be very excited to what James Gunn, the director of The Suicide Squad, has to say. Now, The Suicide Squad is scheduled to come out in 2021, and I predict that we'll get a trailer at DC fandom for the film. It's been shot for a very long time, and James Gunn has been working on post-production over the last few months. So I'm excited to see his version of The Suicide Squad. Now, of course, he directed the first and second Guardians of the Galaxy films, which were huge successes. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is a very, very good film with a brilliant soundtrack. And with him coming to DC now, I think he's a little bit more kind of room to not make mistakes, but kind of push the edge. At Marvel, you have to stick to a formula. You have to stick to this kind of way that Kevin Feige says. At DC, especially now, there's no people over the films. There's no people involved. So there's more potential for a wide variation of films. You can get PG-13 films. You can get rated R films like The Joker. You can get films that are in the DCU universe or outside of that universe. So there's so much potential. But a fan kind of asked James Gunn, suggested to James Gunn what characters John Cena could play in the 2021 film. So James Gunn got that tweet, and he says, "A little late for the suggestions considering we finished filming in February, but thank nonetheless. You're gonna freak out on how amazing John Cena is in The Suicide Squad as the character he does play." So we don't know what character John Cena is playing in The Suicide Squad. John Cena has put images on his Instagram before of the Taskmaster, so he could be playing that character, but it hasn't been confirmed. And I'm not a big comic book reader, but the character, from what I've seen online, looks like a pretty cool character, and that gets a little excited. But James Gunn is not going to throw John Cena underneath the bus. He's not going to say that he's terrible or anything, but he says you're going to freak out at how amazing John Cena is. I like John Cena. I'm a wrestling fan since WrestleMania 23. I followed John Cena throughout my childhood, and then I followed him into movies, and I think he's done very well. When he's picked for a role, a specific role, especially in comedies, he's very, very good. And if you get the right director that can manage him, and he's not one of the best actors working today, but he is improving. He's still learning his craft, and he's getting a lot more bigger films nowadays, like Bumblebee, like the Fast and Furious franchise, and now he's in a superhero franchise. And we know that there's going to be a lot of characters killed off in James Gunn's Suicide Squad. There's a lot of heroes added to the original Suicide Squad that David Ayer had. So I say a lot of those characters will die. But I don't think John Cena will. I think John Cena will stay around because he really is an international and global star in terms of film and through wrestling. So he has that kind of international draw all around the world. Everyone kind of knows who John Cena is. So I think he'll have a big part to play in the Suicide Squad film, and that's a film I'm really looking forward to, and I cannot wait to see the first trailer. If you have Disney Plus in the US, you might be happy to know, or you might be sad to know, that Fantastic Four has been added to the library. And the Fantastic Four that Josh Trank directed in 2015. Now the film came out, it did poor at the box office. I think it only made 170 million at the box office. Critics hated it. Fans didn't like it too much either, and I was so disappointed when I saw the film myself because the first trailer is actually amazing. You should go back and watch that trailer and see how good it actually is, and you should see how much scenes are actually cut from the film. Now we know there was a lot of behind the scenes drama. Josh Trank, the director, had a lot of problems with the studio, with people involved, trying to rewrite scenes, trying to change things on them, and it just wasn't a good experience from him. And he's taken a 4 or 5 year break from directing, and of course came back earlier this year with the Capone Tom Hardy film, which was actually quite good. If you have Disney Plus in the UK and Europe, there's actually a lot of Fox films on it. There's X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men Wolverine Origins. There's also the Wolverine film, the first Wolverine film directed by James Mangold. There's X-Men First Class, Days of Future Past, and there's the Fantastic Four Silver Surfer film. So there's actually quite a few X-Men Fox films on Disney Plus here in the US. I don't think there is that much. But the Fantastic Four film that I've seen, the first half of that film is actually quite good. And then the second half is like a completely different film. There's a lot of scenes cut from the trailer, and I wanted to see those scenes. The trailer is what got me interested in the film, and then when I actually seen the actual film, I was like, this isn't what I was marketed. It's kind of like a Schneider cut kind of thing. But Josh Trank has said, he's come out and said that he's not interested in seeing a Trank cut of his film. He just wants to leave it in the past. He just wants to get on with his career and start making films and doing what he loved doing. It was a bad experience for him, but if you're a fan of these characters, it might be worth to try checking it out again. It's not the worst film. It's really not. It's just the last half hour and when they get captured and stuff like that, it's just not the best thing ever. But the first half is quite enjoyable, and I like the kind of idea that he was setting up. And he's also come out as well and said that he wanted to cast a Black Sue Storm, and Fox were completely against that as well. So he had loads of problems with that film, and I don't blame him entirely. He's part of the problem with that film, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. He is a talented director. Definitely check out Capone if you haven't already. It's a very interesting take on the gangster genre, and I liked it a lot. But definitely check out Fantastic Four if you have Disney Plus, just to give it a rewatch and let me know your thoughts on it. If you're a fan of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy like I am, and I think Tobey Maguire is the ultimate, the best, Peter Parker, the best Spider-Man that we've ever gotten. Andrew Garfield was very good. The film scripts and the film wasn't that great. Tom Holland, I think, has the potential to be a very great Spider-Man, but I think he's being held back by the formula at Marvel and kind of having too many MCU characters like Iron Man involved in his films. I just think he needs to kind of find his own pathway and stand on his own feet. Nobody was helping Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man or Captain America, these characters in their solo films, so I don't think it should be happening in his. But James Cameron was actually supposed to direct a Spider-Man film, and he had talks, and he wanted Leonardo DiCaprio to play Peter Parker. I think there was even rumors of Michael Jackson wanted to play the character as well, but we ended up with Tobey Maguire, and I like all three films. Spider-Man 2 was one of the best comic book movies ever made, one of the best Marvel films ever made. But a screenwriter who was involved with Spider-Man, he said that James Cameron had a little detail that he added to the Spider-Man Raimi films, and this is what the screenwriter had to say. James Cameron had some very good ideas in it. I liked the organic web shooters, which some people liked and some people didn't, but that was his ideas, and I was happy to use it. And that was David Globe. He was a guest on the Real Blend podcast, and that's what he had to say. And he wrote the first Spider-Man script, and that's always an idea that I liked very much. I liked the kind of web shooters being natural, coming out of Peter Parker's body. I didn't like in The Amazing Spider-Man that Andrew Garfield's kind of Spider-Man built in web shooters into his suit. I just didn't really get that, and it didn't seem, he kind of seemed enhanced then. But I really liked Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man because it was natural. It was coming from his body. It was him actually embodying the character of a spider, having these abilities of a spider. He didn't need the suit. What I liked was he didn't need the suit to be able to use his web shooters. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man kind of needed the suit to kind of use them in the way that he wanted. But I like that. That's a cool detail from James Cameron. And it just shows you that with a film, there's so many elements that goes into it. There's so many people that bring even small ideas. And that's a pretty cool one right there. Spider-Man for me is one of my favorite characters. But I'm really hoping that Tom Holland can embody the character a little bit more and maybe get involved with Venom. I think there's huge potential there with the Venom and Morbius kind of world that they're building there also, and an Andy Serkis directed Venom 2 I think is going to be really promising, and hopefully that might lead to him directing Spider-Man in a Venom 3 or something like that. That would be pretty cool, because I think Tom Holland has the acting chops to be a great Spider-Man, just like Tobey Maguire was. I think it's a lot to do with who directs these films, who writes these films. David Globe is a very good writer. Sam Raimi is a very great director, and I think the Spider-Man films could do with that kind of talent. If you're a Batman Forever fan, which starred Val Kilmer as the Dark Knight, with Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones as the villains, that film is actually not too bad. It gets a lot of hate. Of course, there was a lot of studio meddling as well, because they wanted to make the tone a lot lighter from the Burton films due to backlash from critics and things like that. Of course, Warner Brothers going back to their old ways with the same as Zack Snyder's Justice League. But Batman Forever turned 25 years old the other day, and look, it's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I get some love out of the film a lot. It's a lot better than Batman and Robin. But there was a picture, a never before seen picture of Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face in prison, never before seen. And we know that there was a scene cut from that film. You should definitely check it out on YouTube. There's an opening scene for Batman Forever where it shows kind of Arkham Asylum, and one of the psychiatrists goes into the prison cell where Harvey Dent is supposed to be, and it looked like he escapes, and he leaves a message on the wall: the Bat must die. It's actually a pretty cool scene. It's very dark, it's very eerie, and you should definitely check it out. And it would have set up the tone for Batman Forever a lot better, leading to Batman suiting up and in the opening scene that we got. And it's a pretty cool image of Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. I've always said that Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones and Val Kilmer, in fact, would have all pulled the characters out of the bag. They would have been absolutely brilliant if it was a darker, more realistic script like Tim Burton's films. If Tim Burton was the director of this film, I think he would have got a great film with some great performances, all great actors. And Jim Carrey, I think, would have been an unbelievable The Riddler. But that's a pretty cool picture. And Batman Forever, were you a big fan of it? I liked it. I get the kind of guilty pleasure out of it, but that's a pretty cool picture of Tommy Lee Jones, and it's kind of scary. Another film that I absolutely cannot wait to see later this year is Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve, the director of films like Arrival, like Prisoners, like one of my favorite films of all time, Blade Runner 2049. And there's a lot of rumors and speculation this film is absolutely brilliant. It's based on the book. Of course, you may have seen the old film also, and it's going to be split into 2 movies, so I hope the first one is a success. But everything you hear from this film is absolutely extraordinary. Some of the pictures that we've seen in clips, it looks really, really cool. But one of the stars, Oscar Isaac, who in fact was in the latest Star Wars trilogy, said that they're going back for reshoots. And this is what he had to say: we're going to do some additional shooting in mid-August. They're saying in Budapest in Hungary. I saw some things cut together and it just looks amazing. Denis is a real artist, and it will be exciting to see it come together. It's kind of wild that we're doing some additional shooting a few months before it's supposed to come out, but that's what happened with Star Wars as well. And don't get too worried, a lot of these big films have additional shooting, additional photography already planned, because there's such high scale, there's so much stuff to do. And then when they go back and they're trying to edit in post-production, they see that we need some pickups here and there, some scenes of one or two of the characters, or some different angles and stuff like that. So every big film has reshoots, but of course Star Wars, there was a lot of talk that there was a lot of kind of bad reshoots with that they changed the story a little bit. I don't know if that's true, but of course we know that things can happen, things can be bad when reshoots happen. Look at Zack Snyder's Justice League, but this is nothing like this whatsoever. Denis is still the director, he's still behind it, this is his decision. So big reshoots always happen, but I can't wait to see this film. It's got an unbelievable cast, and Denis Villeneuve is one of the best directors working today. If you haven't seen his films, go check them out. He has such a substance, such a style to his filmmaking, one of my favorite, and I absolutely can't wait to see this film later this year. So anyway guys, let me know your thoughts on all the latest movie news about Dune, Jamie Foxx's Mike Tyson, the Suicide Squad, Fantastic Four, James Cameron with Spiderman. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on all my social medias. Come and engage and talk about movies. That's what we love doing. Until next time guys, stay positive.